Let's bring in MSNBC's Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian, MSNBC political contributor and Atlantic staff writer Mark Leibovich, and MSNBC legal analyst and former Manhattan Assistant DA Catherine Christian. Ken, are you hearing any pushback or concerns from inside the DOJ?
Well, yes, of course, Anna, and it's consistent with what I've been hearing from sources inside the building almost since the beginning of the Trump administration, because, again, I keep saying this, we've never been here before. Even in the first Trump administration, the Justice Department ran like a normal Justice Department, where it respected the rule of law, it respected the decisions of career prosecutors. The White House did not tell it, for the most part, what to investigate or what not to investigate. That is all out the window now. And so the people that have done business the same way for 30 years, some of them who have been there, although many of those people are leaving, are traumatized by this. Not just concerned, they're absolutely traumatized by what's been happening at the Justice Department, not only on criminal cases, but on all sorts of cases, antitrust cases, corporate monitor cases, the lack of enforcing the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. But in this particular case, the idea that the White House would order the Justice Department to prosecute certain individuals goes against 50 years of the post-Watergate tradition of the Justice Department being independent of politics, and it's very troubling to people who work there.
Yeah, Catherine, your reaction to these very public calls out in the open, the president calling on his attorney general to prosecute his perceived political enemies?
Well, the reason why these prosecutors are traumatized, not because it's a tradition, it is so highly unethical for a prosecutor to choose people to prosecute for no reason other than, my boss hates them. You choose crimes. You choose cases that you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt and let the chips fall where they may, as long as the facts and the evidence show it. But to just go after people just because they are perceived to be an enemy of the person who appointed you is just not what you do as an ethical prosecutor.
Do you have confidence that these prosecutors will hold the line?
Well, we have resignations, and the ones who don't hold the line will either be fired or not. But it's your duty as a prosecutor, particularly if you're senior. It's one thing to say I was young, I didn't know what I was doing. But to say my boss made me do it does not play if you're someone as senior as the high-ranking people who are in DOJ.
Mark, the DOJ is supposed to be independent. The judicial branch is supposed to serve as a check and balance on the executive branch. We are seeing that in some of the lower courts. But take a look at this. The White House has won 18 times with cases that made it to the Supreme Court since January. Only 2 losses. The Trump administration is on a 15-case winning streak, with their last shadow docket loss being back in May. Could that track record, do you think, be why the president is feeling so emboldened and is feeling he can make these statements publicly?
Probably, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of mechanisms within basically the Trump-friendly world, whether it's the Republican Party, whether it's his own administration, the Justice Department, whether it's, as he perceives it, the Supreme Court, that have given him a lot of confidence to be able to basically do what he wants. I mean, I think the thing that happens here is, look, the DOJ sounds, by all intents and purposes, like a total mess. I mean, Trump can say what he is saying, and it can sound, highly irregular, obviously, deeply unethical. I mean, you choose your words, but ultimately, you do need prosecutors who will make these cases. Many of them have left. Many of them have been fired. Many of them are quitting. Many of them want nothing to do with this. And if you happen to find prosecutors who are willing to do the bidding here, ultimately the system of justice in this country relies on facts, relies on bringing a case, relies on going in a courtroom and not committing perjury. And the actual details of bringing a case and getting a prosecution are extremely complicated, rightly. And it's not just a president of the United States, strange as it is, spouting off the way he is. So, look, there is a big disconnect between the president's words and what actually happens during prosecutions.
I wonder what's happening. And I'm an ex-Republican, and I don't understand why businesses don't think they have a skin in the game of remaining a democracy. There is no autocracy in the world where the economy is thriving. None. And so I think if I hadn't sort of arrived at where I've arrived as an ex-Republican, I might not even be curious about this, but I'm curious why everyone thinks someone else will save our country from becoming something other than a democracy.
Well, the first thing coming to my mind is one of Elon Musk's little puppet people on TV saying, we got to get over this dictator phobia. So that's one pocket, that's one pocket. And it's what's really evolving now. People are getting over their dictator phobia, or they didn't even know what it was. And they won't. I mean, if you're neutral during this time, you can get away with your life doing pretty much what you want to do. Just don't cross any lines.
But what's the bet that you won't have a kid that tweets something that offends someone associated with the party in power, that you won't have an employee who has a relative who, I mean,
they're all different. I mean, they're all of the above that you just said, and the self-censorship. Don't let me get too grim, because it's not It's not healthy for everybody.
It's not good for anybody. So how do you beef up then the hope muscles? What do we need? What do we do? How do we juice up the other side of the equation, where we think that something will glue us together, a leader will emerge, and we will be in this fight in time to save this country we love?
Federal prosecutor Eric Siebert resigned Friday under pressure. And Catherine, you brought this up. This was the man who had the Letitia James case in his court. And our understanding is he said there wasn't a crime to pursue there after looking at the evidence. Now, he resigned. The president says no, he was fired. With so much happening, Catherine, help us understand how dangerous this is for our democracy.
It's very dangerous, because if you do have prosecutors who will just ignore the facts and just present a case to the grand jury that they know they cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt or even have probable cause, you're hoping that the grand jury will see through that and not bring an indictment. But if they don't see through that and do bring an indictment, then you've basically messed up someone's life. Eventually, yes, the court will see that and dismiss the indictment. But meantime, you have had your life destroyed. You've hired an attorney. And it's very frightening. It's like a star chamber. You just, people being chosen not because they have actually committed a crime or we have been able to prove they committed a crime. It's just because they're perceived to have been the enemy or against whoever the person is, and in this case, the president appointed you as the prosecutor.
And let's be honest about Donald Trump's use of power. He never saw the presidency as a public trust. He saw it as a personal tool. He leaned on the Justice Department to shield himself and target critics. He pressured allies to dig up dirt on opponents. He openly dangled pardons to friends while threatening investigators who came too close. That isn't strength. That's abuse of office. Time and time again, Trump used the levers of government to serve his own interests, not the country's. He treated foreign policy like a bargaining chip for his hotels and business deals. He treated national security like a stage for his rallies. And when the rules or courts pushed back, his instinct was to undermine them rather than respect them. This is more than just a matter of partisan disagreement. It's about a leader who put himself above the law, above the institutions that hold democracy together, and above the people he swore to represent with all his strength. History will remember not just the chaos of his term, but the way he twisted power for personal gain. Because in the end, Trump's legacy isn't America first, it's Trump first. And America is always paying the price.